Hi, today's topic is creating a content strategy for your website. Who is Cathy Goodwin? That's me. Well, I work on copywriting and websites for small businesses. I've been online for over a decade, so I have quite a bit of experience in helping you develop your online business. I am totally dedicated to helping my clients grow their online presence smoothly, effectively, and profitably. Well, what is content strategy? Content strategy refers to a high-level plan or vision that guides the development of content to meet specific business objectives. You might think of it as the view from 30,000 feet instead of the view from the ground. The first step to a content strategy is to ask the question, what are the goals of this project? Because the whole point of content strategy is to let your mission drive your content. So your mission or your goal might be get new members if you're an organization such as a country club or a co-working space. You might want to be building relationships with your prospects so they can become clients. You might want to sell a product or service as your primary focus for this project or this piece of content. Remember, you may have a content strategy for your whole business or for a specific project, or of course, both. Some of the questions you ask as part of the strategic planning process include: who is the target market for this project? Who is going to be reading and consuming the content we produce? What types of content will they be seeking? Do they prefer to listen to something online? Do they prefer to watch a video? Or would they like to hold something tangible in their hands? You might also ask, what style do they look for? Do they want to talk to someone who's super edgy, like a Tony Soprano type? Or do they want someone who's stiff and formal? Most of the time, most usually, it's something in between. And what content are you producing already that can be repurposed? What tells us about what you have so we can plan for the future? You might have a stack of emails. You might have all kinds of things in your files. Let's look at those. So let's start with looking specifically at websites. First, we're going to look at what belongs on each page. And a lot of people, when I go to work on websites, a lot of people don't know the difference between a page and a post. And nowadays, we almost always use WordPress for sites. So as a result, you have pages and you have the potential to have posts as well. So pages are the first thing we're going to look at. What belongs on each page? And that's maybe all you need. It's important to understand that visitors could land on any page. And on pages, your content is usually evergreen. You rarely change your pages week by week, or certainly not day by day. When you are adding new products constantly, or you're adding new services, or circumstances change, of course you'll redesign your page. But generally, we think of pages as pretty static. Finally, pages will introduce your readers to elements of your business. That's why we have sections like about you, because you're a key part of the business. If you're in a service and you're a solopreneur, you are the business. We also have sections about services, what you offer. We have sections about how to contact you. All those are elements of the business, and those are represented on pages. For example, a question a client might ask is, should we have a resource page? And that means that they have links to community resources, such as the Small Business Administration. If you're, say, a business coach or you're working with startups, you might have links to places like that, or places to get loans. You're not getting any revenue. Visitors click on those links. They're there as a service. And you have to ask, why am I providing these links? Is it a way to showcase my expertise? Is it a way to give so you can get something back? There has to be some kind of a strategic reason for every page and everything on that page. You might have a resource page with links to affiliate programs, so you're getting compensated when people click on a link and buy through your link. In some cases, that makes a lot of sense for a content strategy. In other cases, it does not. Secondly, if you're working with WordPress, you have the option to create posts, and you have to decide what belongs on each post. Generally, you want copy that is what we call infotaining. It provides information and it's helpful, but it's written in an engaging, entertaining style. You might have stories about people who have come to you as clients. You might have a content calendar. A lot of times when we talk about content strategy, we talk about what you want to publish as a post on certain days of the week. For example, Monday might be your overview day. It might be an indication of what you're going to be having the rest of the week. Tuesday might be a philosophical essay on approaches to solving problems in your field. Wednesday might be a hands-on tactics day. I'm just making these things up, but some people do week by week and day by day planning just like that. Some people have whole months when they say, this month we're going to talk only about copywriting, or this month, if you're a food blogger, we're only going to be talking about baking, or this month is November, so we'll only talk about Thanksgiving. There's no one hard and fast rule. It has to be adapted to your business. And then, of course, you have to think about your posts. How timely are they, and how are they outdated, and how you're going to get rid of posts that no longer make sense for you. You also might want to limit your topics. One thing I do when people are starting a blog is encourage you to have 2 or 3 topics related to your overall topic, your overall goal of your audience. Because if you're all over the map, as I have been in the past, you lose your audience. They don't understand you. They may give up on your blog because they say, this is not what I signed up for. So here's an example of a real situation. I was just working with a nonprofit, and they use posts only to announce events. They don't differentiate. So what happens is their posts have a short shelf life because they might say, next month we're having an event to promote kittens and cats or something like that. And then if, let's say they hold this event in April, by May, that post is no longer useful. So they need to have a content strategy that includes disposition or removal of old posts. And they do not need to have a recent posts plugin, which they did when I first looked at the site. Every plugin adds to your load time, so you want to keep your plugins down. Of course, you want all the plugins you need, but you don't want extra plugins. And secondly, in this case, it made no sense because when people saw recent posts, they would see notifications of events that had taken place a long time ago. It actually distracted from the current situation. Your next area of content strategy for websites is, what path will visitors take as they go through your site? Which page do you want them to see first, and then second, and then third, and so on? You can set up a menu by categories or pages, and that's a judgment call depending on your blog and your audience, and of course your business. And you can have links within pages. When I work with people on service blogs, for example, or service websites, I encourage them to have a link at the bottom of every page telling them where to go next. So you might have a link saying, from here, your next step would be to go to the About page. Or you might say, from here, go to the contact page and let me know how we can get in touch. Next is you want to think about another purpose of your website, which is to generate leads. So you could have welcome gates. A welcome gate is just that thing you see on the top of the site when you first sign on. Content upgrades. Those are links in your blog posts and sometimes your pages where you can go to a fuller version of the content by signing up. So I might have a blog post, in my case, on a certain aspect of copywriting, say headlines. And then I would have a content upgrade, a link that says, click here if you would like to get more information about headlines. Or I might even say, click here to get a copy of this article in PDF form that you can keep. That's a very popular way to do content upgrades. Landing pages, of course, are extremely powerful. And nowadays, I'd say they're really as essential as any page on your website, getting people to sign up for your lead magnet. And you can set up just about any page as a lead generator. In particular, I encourage you to think of your About page as a way to generate leads. Finally, you want to ask yourself, how is your content helping you build relationships with prospects? That's another key function of websites, especially if you are a service professional. So this might be your contact page. And there are several ways to set up your content page. You can do a lot of things with a contact page to discourage the wrong kind of contacts, so it will be time consuming, like people trying to sell you something. And you can encourage certain types of visitors to contact you on your contact page. You can certainly have invitations to comment on your posts and sometimes on pages. And of course, the tone of your posts and your pages will influence the likelihood that people will sign up and will want to engage with you further. Now, sometimes I get asked, what's the difference between content strategy and copywriting? After all, I am primarily a copywriter. Well, content strategy is the view from 30,000 feet. It's the broad view of everything in the business. You can think of it almost as a map. You can use kind of mind map to write up your content strategy, or you can use a diagram. Copywriting is a way of implementing the content strategy. So once you have an idea of what you need in the way of content, now you start to write it. And copywriting is any kind of writing that influences the relationship between you and your prospects, and of course your clients. Ideally, you would set up the content strategy in great detail and then just implement with copywriting. If you're a large company, first of all, you're probably not listening to this video, but if you are a really large company, then you might employ many copywriters. You'll have different writing groups and teams. So in those cases, it makes sense to map out the content strategy very carefully before you write a line of copy. But if you're a smaller company, the kind that I work with, which might be as small as a one-person solopreneur hiring a number of people as resources, then you would normally set up your content strategy along with your copywriting. In fact, as a copywriter, one of the first things I would do is ask you a bunch of questions that really are content strategy, even though I'm not calling it that. And another thing you might not be aware of is that as you write the copy, or as your copywriter writes the copy, depending on how you set it up, you become more aware of your content strategy. It's a two-way street. It's not one way, especially in a smaller company. If you'd like to set up a consultation or ask questions, then you can refer to this link. That will take you to my website and to the page where you can initiate a contact, ask any questions, and perhaps set up a consultation if you would like some help with your website. I see many websites where people did not think about content, and eventually something doesn't work and they want to get started. So don't wait. Click on the link and I'll be happy to work with you. Thanks for joining me today, and have a wonderful rest of the day. I hope to see you on a future video.